My name is Anthony Hammerschmith. I am the head of the mobile Innova Pro Shop. My hometown, actually, I'm based out of Portland, Oregon, but I was born and raised down in Eugene, Oregon, home of the Ducks. I have a blast. This is my first real year with Innova, and I've been on the team for 3 years now. I have a big dually truck. I know, Jeff, you've seen it. A lot of people that are probably hopefully going to watch this have seen it, and a 40-foot fifth wheel, completely wrapped in our Innova jungle theme. I've traveled from Pro Tour stop to Pro Tour stop, setting up 12 tables, 6 canopies, and every tour series or new release that Innova Pro Shop West has released this year. I shake hands, I make friends, and I introduce a ton of people to what Innova has for 2024.
Everybody who's been in disc golf for a while has a unique story on how they discovered it. And I don't know your story. And, in all the conversations that you and I have had, I'm surprised that I don't. Fill us all in.
Mine started almost 10 years ago at Beaver State Fling. My cousin, Jared Gogol, I'm going to name drop him because he's a great guy and he's been in disc golf for years, well before me, asked me to come caddy for him at a golf event. Now, I don't know anything about disc golf. Don't know what a basket is. I didn't even know that we threw Frisbees, and I'm going to call her Frisbee right now. I came out to Milo dressed in a nice polo, slacks, and nice shoes, thinking I was going to be carrying a golf club bag for his caddy. And it blew my mind because I ended up putting on a backpack and hiking around Milo for 18 holes and not a clue in the world what I was doing, and just stood there with my phone recording every little bit that Jared was doing. And at the end of the day, I met Will Schustrick, and that was my first real introduction to the whole professional world of disc golf. And they gave me a couple things, sent me on my way, and I've been going ever since.
So you didn't really throw a disc when you were first introduced to it. You just witnessed it.
Yeah, I did not throw one for almost 2 weeks after that. And that was on my own. I had to kind of look at YouTube, early YouTube stuff, Central Coast, and then kind of show myself how to play. And then I realized I actually ended up having friends all over that had been playing this for years. And then they're like, Anthony, you're playing disc golf now. Come out and join us. And, looked like the normal newbie for almost a year. And then the following year, I got into the tournament scene, played a lot of tournaments that second year.
How does anybody even think of getting hooked on disc golf without throwing the disc?
I am an oddity. My thing is, at my heart, I'm a collector, and I like to collect things. I like to figure out what that thing does in my collection, whether it be figurines, whether it be toys, comic books. I want to do what it does. And by joining up on the disc golf, by being handed a couple Frisbees, I wanted to know what it was. So watching YouTube, went out just on the opposite side of my town to Shampooey State Park. And it's a flat course, really nice course. Learning how to throw by watching YouTube. And having a baseball background, it was a sport. It got me moving. There's a lot more kind of involved with myself internally that kept me moving in the sport.
How many days on the road for you this year?
I haven't exactly calculated the exact days, but the truck just turned over 23,000 miles. And we got that truck brand new for this whole thing. I think it had 13 miles on it when we got it. And I'm home now. Obviously, I'm in my office. But it was March, like first week of March, went to Texas, and then we've been on the road pretty much ever since.
In all of those stops, there's got to be a couple stories that kind of stand out for you, or at least one that is like most memorable from 2024.
I have several, but the one that I'm going to kind of chit chat on is we actually were at the last one where this actually ended up happening at the RIP. Up at the Innova RIP in Port Hope, Ontario. We were coming back, and one of the big things is uh, customs, going to Canada, coming back from Canada. And when I was heading back into the States after this event, all the lanes were closed. They were full. And I had to watch a gentleman literally run from one booth to the next, open it up, pull me through. As he asked for my passport, he asked if I had any stickers. And I didn't get it. So I handed him a sticker, and he looked at me and goes, "My friends will never believe me that the Innova rig came through my booth today. Welcome to New York."
That's awesome, dude.
And it was the one celebrity moment I've had on tour, and it was amazing.
That's
So
awesome.
I actually ended up handing the custom agent a team stamp disc, saying, "Hey, not a problem, man. Enjoy."
So in 23,000 miles of, seeing events and seeing people and being the connection to Innova on the road, I'm curious, when you have a newbie come up to you, like, what are the discs that you recommend?
I tend to kind of shy away from our starter pack. Mainly, I don't have it on my table because it's something that anyone has access to. And I like to have it on the road of things that people may not have access to, specifically those tour series. However, my go-to, and I actually have it sitting right here, which is amazing, good old Leopard 3. The Leopard 3 is hands down my go-to for a beginner. The flight path behind it, the slower speed, the thinner rim, easy for them to control. And my big thing is I want someone to start playing disc golf and end with a smile on their face. So a Leopard 3 is actually going to help create that smile. Owen Scoggins has a signature one that is phenomenal. So that's my number one go-to.
I like your Leopard 3 choice, and it can't be anything but a great pick because the Leopard is in the starter set. So, I mean, you're right there in the wheelhouse,
Mm-hmm.
What's a fun fact that many people don't know about you?
You saw a very small piece to this puzzle in Canada.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yes. Very few people know that I am a hobby and competitive player in the world of Warhammer 40,000. This is a tabletop game that includes 28 millimeter sized models. I actually have a little guy here that I haven't painted yet, but this guy here, there we go, a little focus. Yeah. These guys here, I build these, I paint these, and I play on a kitchen sized table. If anybody ever comes out to the tables to say hi to me, I'm usually wearing either a hoodie when it's cold or a short sleeve t-shirt. My right arm has a giant full arm tattoo of Warhammer 40,000.
Okay, so you got to go see Anthony in person to see that tattoo.
Yes, 100%.
What are some of the other hot discs that were on your table this year?
Well, one was a very smart decision. One we don't normally see coming out of the tour series was Bradley Williams this year. Bradley Williams decided to do his second disc, I believe was the second. Yeah. The Baby Destroyer. Phenomenal thought process to not only give the public a Halo destroyer, but lightweight. Lightweight is being asked about left and right, and it was phenomenal. It flew really well. I actually got to watch Emerson Keefe, Bradley Williams, and Calvin Heimberg at World this year just mess around with the ones that Bradley had. And watching the stability of this disc, 100% underrated. Everyone needs to try this, even though it's a destroyer.
Do you see more opportunity for other lightweight discs that we could be making for people?
It's a fine line. And I want to say that because I feel we're meeting the demand because it's out there and we have the tools and the availability. The situation that I run into is that because my tables are mainly tour series or the newer releases like the retro line with like the Gazelle, the Whippet X, etc. These are discs that don't historically get made in lighter weights. And so we have the tools, we have the availability, but getting that into people's hands is the situation I think that we need to maybe work a little bit harder on? My answer is pretty straightforward. And I bring out my iPad. I go to the Pro Shop's website. I help somebody order something right there at the table that is lightweight. And I get them something. They may not have left it from my table, but they did get something from Innova.
What's the best stretch of highway, dude? Man, come on, 23,000 miles you put on that rig this year. I want to know, what is like your favorite stretch of highway?
Well, I guess the honest answer would be the stretch of highway before I get home, right? Um, but in all actuality, um, one of the greatest stretches of highway would have to be, man, I'd have to say probably anything close to Rock Hill, Charlotte, all that area. The roads are great, especially for a trailer. Um, and I don't have to really worry about any height restrictions, length restrictions, weight restrictions. Just it's an easy road to travel on, and I love it.
Maybe not necessarily the most scenic, but you're looking for utility. You're looking for practicality. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the big thing for me is practicality because, um, you know, unbeknownst to a few people, the trailer has had a couple repairs had to be done to it this year, mainly because of the roads.
What do you got to say to folks out there who might see you at one of the events that you might attend?
Come out to these events. As a tournament director myself, we love seeing spectators. Even if you thought you're coming to the course to play around and you didn't know we were there, hang out for a minute, watch some of the tournament play. It's huge, and it's honestly my favorite way to grow the sport is getting people to come out and see the competitive side because it corresponds with the casual side so well. Now, if you're coming out to see me and want something in particular, come out and hang out. Don't just come by and buy something from me. Let's talk. Let's chit chat. And it doesn't have to be disc golf. We don't do politics at the table. That's number one rule. I'm just going to put it out there now. But come and talk with me. I probably have a bottle of water or a soda or something. Let's crack open a water bottle and let's talk. I love talking.
You have seen a lot of events. You talk to a lot of spectators and fans and athletes. I'm curious, like, for people who don't get the opportunity to get out on tour like you do, what's something that people might not know about being out there on tour that you could share?
It's a lot of hard work, not just for me, but the pros in particular as well. A lot of people think we just, for me in particular, we go out there or I go out there. I set up all these canopies and I put up these tables and put the discs out and happy go lucky, here we go. Well, a lot of that time that you guys haven't seen, there's a lot of work. And I even have extra hands from volunteers or people that, hey, do you need a hand? I use every one of them because there's a certain way at each stop that my setup has to look. And sometimes I don't get the right space. So we have to kind of do things on the fly. As a pro, they love signing autographs. They love taking pictures. Honestly, they do. But you also got to remember they are a person. Take a look and, if they're just coming off the course from a practice round, give them a breather. Let them take a few breaths before you say hi to them. Because they want to say hi to you. They really do. But they may be trying to think about that last shot that they threw. And I think I've even seen it with Kona. She's got a little book that she writes in with some notes. Give them time to write down those notes and finish their thought so that they can play well when the tournament actually starts.
I mean, I saw that at Worlds. You did an awesome job at providing that kind of space for Team Innova folks to swing by and to do after a round meet and greets and signings and things like that. And I saw the line wrapping around your rig, dude. And I mean, I remember there was one night, I don't remember which night it was, but Calvin was there after his round and we didn't leave for whatever reason until well after dark. And he was still there, like just chatting you up and whoever was just hanging around. So that's one of the coolest things I think about you being out at events is that you are this like home base for the team, for ambassadors, for fans. And it is kind of like I don't want to call it a lounge because that's probably not a good way to describe it. But that's definitely the vibe that I think you try to put out there. There's always music gently playing in the background.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people just hanging out, having good conversation, and everybody's really welcoming. So it's one of those things where, especially if you're new to disc golf, I would encourage people to come out and look for your rig. Get out there, look for Anthony, because it's like, what better way to have an introduction to disc golf, the tournament scene, athletes, than somebody like you who's just like, hey, come on in, let's hang out, we'll chat. It's not intimidating, it's fun, and it's a great way for people just to sort of get questions answered and get a vibe for like what it's like to be out there at a tour event, you know?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you haven't been out to an event, check out Anthony's tour, meet up with him and go say, hey.
Yeah.
On that note, do you share your tour schedule anywhere?
I was about to touch on that. One of the things that you guys actually will be seeing here, hopefully shortly, probably definitely before Christmas, you will definitely see a big post with the year's worth of tour stops for me. We're working out some of the finer details at the moment, and we'll go from there. One of the things, obviously, if it's a big Innova event, guys, I'm trying to be there. So pay attention to who's sponsoring what and come out and support the Innova stuff. And that's going to be a very high probability that I'll be there.
Super cool. Speaking of events, I don't know if we touched on it. What's your favorite event?
Ah, okay. So my biased opinion is the Beaver State Fling.
That's inside baseball for you. So you're going to
Yep.
have to give people a little bit of explanation why the Beaver State Fling.
So Beaver State Fling is my number one event of the year. Before it was a pro tour stop, it was where I got started with disc golf, which we've already touched on. The Beaver State Fling, though, Milo MacIver State Park, the trees, the running river around it. It's a place where pros come to play in the woods, and they feel safe doing it. The parking lots are amazing after each of their rounds because these guys are getting ready to go drift, float down the river. They're heading into town to go to a special little dive bar or a dive restaurant. The atmosphere around Milo, there's nothing like it out there. And I've been to a few of them. If I have to pick something outside of Beaver State Fling, though, Myrtle Beach Open.
Whoa, that's a surpriser.
Myrtle Beach, Chad and his team, it reminds me of home.
Cool.
So if you get the opportunity at the end of the season next year, go watch it, go play in it. It's probably one of my favorite non-home based A tiers.
So what is it about Myrtle Beach Open? Is it the vibe? Is it the course, the people? Like what do you
All
dig
of
about it?
it, all of it. The vibe is, like I said, it reminds me of home. Everyone is over there, hugs, high fives. Everyone's listening to DJ Heck Yeah with the music playing. The putter party, the atmosphere of check-in, the beach being, I think it was like a mile from me, technically, like as the crow flies from where I was stationed at Splinter City. Um, Hands down, just everything about it reminded me of home, and I felt welcomed. Even as a new beginner coming in, we had a few people, I don't know what's going on here. We would talk to them, we'd show them to all the vendors, they'd watch a couple cards go through, and, Myrtle Beach reminded me of home.
All the people you mentioned have said, come on out. They're like, just like you said, they're like super welcoming, super inviting. And
Mm-hmm.
I almost wish it was like earlier in the season, but maybe there's something to be said for it owning that late part of the season, especially where it's located, because I mean, the weather was beautiful when you were there, right?
77 and blue skies, buddy.
I mean, that's awesome. So it's like, maybe there's this like, maybe they carved out a pretty unique spot on the tour that it's part tour, but it's also part like come and hang out, you know?
Yep. Yep. And this year we got to watch it because it was fantastic. We got to watch Innova sweep it, Joel Freeman win an MPO, Cat Merch win an FPO. It was a great way for Innova players and staff alike to end their season.
Wow, that's cool. I saw photos, Chad Lefevre's out there, and he's a Myrtle Beach guy, and I saw his photos, and
And it's events like that that people need to come to because it's one of the bigger Innova events. And I can say when we have those big Innova events, some fun things seem to show up. I'm not going to say that I won't have one, but we did get to test out the new Disc Catcher 24s.
Anthony is on the list of people who receives prototype and early run samples of discs. So when we do a universal release and we talk about it, but it's not yet available to the public, there's a good chance that Anthony's got that disc or those discs
Mm-hmm.
in his possession at his rig. So if you see us talking about those things, it's worth a shot, at least if you see Anthony in the rig out there somewhere, to go up to him and ask him if he's got whatever thing we're talking about, because there's a good chance that he's got it. So
Yep.
another
Yep.
good
There
reason
is.
to hang out with Anthony. He's got the early release stuff too. At least a sample of it for you to put in your hands, hold it, check it out.
Yep. And
And
depending on my space, I may even have a net for you to actually throw it into.
I'm curious, is there anything like in our conversation, like you trigger a thought or an idea, anything you want to kind of close with?
No, I mean the big thing is once we get the schedule kind of going, and this being year 2 on the road, um, we've we've seen where we need to go. Now it's kind of where do we want to go, and that plays into a lot of other things when it comes to what's going to be hitting my tables.
Yep.
So a lot of that comes into um, maybe some of the stuff you see from Jason Swacky, Tim Suds, and Mark Molnar putting out there early. Let's see what we can't do to give it to Anthony and do the same thing.
Well, I can tell you, once you have your schedule finalized, dude, I will do a completely separate post of my own, like scrolling through the locations and dates where you're going to be, and I'll make a point to promote that, because for all the reasons that we just talked about, you and I sync up on a lot of things that are Innova related, and you are the first point of contact for a lot of people out there on the road. And I want to make sure that they know where to find you, what to ask for. And it's great that they get to see your face here. And I hope that they come up and they get to meet you face to face wherever they are out on the road.
But I guess one of the biggest things, if you're a junior, come by, say hi, give me a high five. One of the big things that I pride myself on is helping Mr. Jason Swacky, who's our junior team captain, with a lot of the hospitality for the juniors and their families while they're on the road, because it's not easy. They're not a touring pro, and I want to make sure that they have anything and everything that they need for their stay at that event.
So you're talking about junior team Innova members?
Correct. Correct.
You heard Anthony. If you are a junior team Innova member and you're out on the road and you see Anthony, you need some help or just want to say hi, catch up, go see Anthony. He'll take care of you. Anthony, thanks a lot, man. I hope that everybody watching remembers your face. They look for your schedule when you publish it. For any of you who are watching and you have questions about Anthony or his schedule or anything that he does at Innova, leave a comment down below, whether it's somewhere on YouTube where we post this, or some of this might end up on Instagram as well. But please leave a comment, tag Anthony. I guess they should know how to find you on social media. How do they find you?
So the easiest way is you can look up Anthony Hammerschmith on Facebook. I'm very Facebook savvy. Over this last year, I've gotten a little bit better on Instagram, and so they can find me. Same thing, Anthony Hammerschmith through Instagram. I won't put the username out there because it just doesn't make sense to people till they find me. But I'll put it. Maybe we could put it down in the comments or something.
We'll put it right here.
There you go. I like it. And one of the things too, Jeff, people reaching out, ask questions. Also, one of the big ones for us, because we travel, tell me where I should go next.
Put it down below. Where should Anthony go next? Where do you want to see him?